university did not bring speakers to campus, nor does the university endorse the content of any speaker. What the university does endorse is the right of a registered student organization to bring speakers to campus and to have a speakers policy that allows for that speaker to be questioned and challenged in an open format where education can and should occur. And the philosophy of the university's speakers policy, the university's dissent versus disruption policy, the university's free speech policy is that any idea that you consider a bad idea should be driven out with a good idea. Any person you think is a bad person should be driven out with examples of what a good person should be. You can drive out ideas, you should not shout them out because you give some kind of inherent credibility to that idea. Challenge it. At the end of the event last night, there was a question and answer period where the speaker was challenged, and I thought in a very, very good way. And I think that part of the program last night was educational. I think it was leading to learning, and I do think that was indicative of why we have a policy. Challenge with facts, with information, with data. That is the way you win an argument. That is the way you win a debate. Silencing even those ideas you consider anathema allows those ideas to go underground. Allow them to be surfaced and allow them to be challenged and allow them to be driven out of your marketplace. But that has to happen. That has to occur. You cannot shout down ideas. You have to drive them out.
Are the campus plebes a bunch of wetback beaten racists?
I'm not going to comment on those.
Mr. Denbow, what is the credibility of the demands that these students are making?
We'll assess those demands, but I can say, and I want to say on the record, that any kind of racial profiling by police is heinous, and it isn't what happened.
So are you saying a lot of the things that these students were saying?
I'm not going to comment on those. We'll assess those, but I know that there was no profiling or targeting last night because the university would not accept that kind of attitude on the part of police or any other one of us. I can be as sure of that.
So only Hispanics were causing the ruckus. If no racial profiling occurred, then the white students weren't resisting arrest. The white students weren't.
No racial profiling occurred, in my opinion.
Yeah, in your opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Denbow,
the university would not permit, endorse, and would not accept racial profiling on the part of its police. I guarantee you that.
Mr. Denbow, as I recall, they recently changed the policy on student groups getting police protection. They used to have to pay for it. Now they don't have to pay for it. How was that changed? How was it that once the event became kind of a private event, once the public was kicked out, why were the police still provided to them at the cost to the university?
The event had to go on. It had to go on with the question and answer period that was allowed, and I think that's where education happened. And I thought that was very, very effective, an effective challenge using information.
But the question was, they removed the public, though. The only ones allowed were the ones in the group. That's what the police officers had told me while I was there. I'm just wondering, is that the policy now that even if it ends up as a private event, like would the club be allowed to get such police protection for a private event on campus that's not open to the public?
When police protection is called for at any event on campus in any location, it will be available. And it will be available to anyone and everyone who needs it.
Terry Denbow, what's your response to the comment about working sober? What did you think when you heard that?
I didn't hear that comment, to be honest with you. I can't comment on something I didn't hear. I can comment on the fact that just because it was said doesn't mean the university doesn't abhor that kind of language. We do not endorse what was said. We endorse the right of people to bring speakers to campus to be openly challenged and questioned. That's part of the speaker's policy. It's part of our belief system. You must be able to speak but you must be able to be challenged. And you must be able to be challenged in a way that is free of intimidation, disruption, or prior restraint.
What about the right of students to attend those events?
Students have every right to attend those events. This was
not the students that were not
have
being,
every
that were not
right
being
to
disruptive.
attend those events.
Mr. Denbow, I was
Students have every right to
I was
attend those
arrested
events.
yesterday.
Their rights
And all I
are
gotta ask
violated.
you is why I wasn't warned before I was arrested. Why some white students were warned over 25 times and weren't arrested. And I want to know why, when I wasn't resisting at all, and there's clear evidence that I wasn't resisting. There's tons of video. The police kept on twisting my hand and pushing my arm up forward and telling me stop resisting. And there's video evidence of me saying I'm not resisting. Both of my hands are behind my back. And now I'm being charged with a felony. Can you answer that, please?
I am glad there are tons of video, so the truth will win out of this whole thing. And if you believe that the truth will win out after all information is in, you are adherents to the university's philosophy too. The truth will win out.
And what are you prepared to do when the truth does win out?
We are prepared to accept the truth, and the truth is what the university
And then what actions will you take?
I am not going to answer a hypothetical right now because
Okay,
nothing.
well, you'll answer it in a week then.
I will answer when a question isn't preceded with an if, because that is bad public relations. It's pardon?
That's what it seems to me.
What?
That's what it seems to me, that a lot of things that, you know, all these issues that get brought to your administration, to the people that actually matter and that can make a difference, you just tie it up in red tape. It's nothing but bureaucracy. But listen, and you let a lot of things just slide aside until you've had a lot of things put in your face by students, and you just blatantly ignore them. I mean, to me, it seems better to have this productive conversation with the student body instead of standing behind a desk all day and being disconnected from everybody. You need to, you know what I'm saying, connect with your students, understand and realize what their troubles are, what they're worried about. It seems to me that it's just bureaucracy. I can't say that it's bureaucracy. That's all it is. It's just tied up so much. And it seems like you're not doing anything to promote anything.
I agree with you that communication has to happen person to person. There's no doubt about it. It can't be memo to memo, email to email.
You and doing this, because without this, I doubt you would have ever came to me. If we would have never came here, what would you have done about it? Nothing. You would have let it go by like every other event that these students have supported, and you support it. You know, by not stopping it, you support it.
No, I don't agree with the premise that you support something that just because you don't stop it.
You could have done something about it. You could have spoke to your colleagues. You could have somehow unified everybody who felt the same way, but you didn't. You know, and the only reason why now you're in the hot seat because everybody's here. Other than that, you wouldn't have done anything. You wouldn't even have thought about it.
No.
I find it hard to believe it would even cross your mind if you wouldn't be here.
No, I deserve to be on the hot seat when it comes to free speech issues because they are often contentious, they are often polarized, and they are often what happens on a college campus. We have to encourage, we have to endorse the clashing of ideas.
But you didn't. You didn't.
You didn't endorse it.
No, we did not endorse. We did not endorse the content. We endorsed the right of a registered student organization to bring to campus.
Your students that were there exercising their free speech, you weren't supporting them. You let them get thrown in jail and get choked by cops. You personally, maybe you weren't there. And
no, I was there. I was there, and I'm not going to call it a dissent. It would cease to be a university. If a university precluded debate, it would cease to be a university.
If they want to bring a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, you're going to let that happen? I mean, it's free speech, right? I mean, it's free speech. Are you going to let that happen?
I'm not going to comment on a perspective situation. No, I am not. It's
that's why.
Mr. Debnow?
Oh, that's a low blow.
Mr. Debnow, how does MSU's anti-harassment policy affect speakers brought onto campus?
An anti-harassment policy, it applies 24 hours a day, every day. So does our free speech policy, so does our speakers policy, and so does our policy on dissent versus disruption. And again, a bad idea, an evil idea, can be driven out by a good idea and a virtuous idea. I have to believe